Okay, awesome. Well, hey everybody. What kinds of questions do we have? What's going on? What are we doing? Let's rock and roll.
All right, guys, you know the drill. If you have questions, post them down in the chat box and we'll go through them.
All right, Christopher, so I don't have to read all of that you wrote. Let's just make you where we can hear you, and you tell me what Deanna and I are having a unmute war, and you tell us what's going on.
Okay, two questions for you today, Roland.
Yep.
One of my colleagues who's also in this program, she reached out to a potential seller, a really good business. We're really interested in it. And he's giving her some pushback saying, can you show me proof of financials? And I told her, don't send him anything like that. He's just giving you unnecessary pushback. I wanted to make sure my advice was right. What would you say to someone who is giving pushback and asking for proof that you're an investor?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the situation and the business, but generally that's like, I need to know if I'm actually interested in the business first. So, what I've got is irrelevant at this point. What's relevant is what you've got. If you are not interested in selling right now without that, then I'm not your buyer. So you can make your decision, but I think your advice is great personally.
Okay, perfect. My second question today is when you're forming a partnership and we have an SPV and you're bringing partners in,
Yep.
What options can we put in place to protect people if it doesn't work out as we intended? Specifically, if someone's coming in to buy part of my business, what can we put into place to protect everyone involved?
Okay, so there's lots of different potential situations there. So let me just be sure I understand exactly what you're asking. So if you have someone coming in to own part of your SPV because you're going to do a deal together, is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Yeah. So that you don't have to create a billion SPVs and get rid of people and all that kind of stuff, typically it would be good, number one, not to have them actually come in until the thing that they're coming in for is done. So what you can do is you can do an agreement that says that here is the plan. The plan is that we're going to acquire Newco, and we're going to acquire Newco with you doing the following 5 things. Now, if you do the following 5 things and we acquire Newco, then you will have X shares or X percentage or X interest in my SPV. But if that doesn't happen, if you don't do those 5 things and we don't own Newco by this date, then there is no interest and this is null and void. That's like for putting the deal together, a good way to keep your SPV clean, but you still have the ability to talk to people about. So if they need that in writing, now it's kind of a good idea to do it in writing, even if they don't, because then it's very clear. And let's say that you acquire Newco, but that person didn't do the things you wanted, or you don't want them in, and then they come back later and say, yeah, but look at these texts and these emails where we said we were going to all do this together and it was going to be one big happy family, and therefore I should get half. It's just like, hey, look, it was really clear. It was in writing. These were the dates. This was the stuff that was going to be done. That didn't happen. So, that you're basically throw that out of court on a summary judgment in the event that there was a challenge. Does that make sense?
It does. So if I'm creating an SPV because someone's wanting to come in and buy part of my business,
Yep.
Am I hearing you correctly that I actually won't put them on the SPV until they follow through with their action steps?
I wouldn't. I mean,
Okay.
You're like, to me, that's exactly what an earn-in means, is that you get vesting when you do these things. Now, you have assurance that'll happen. This is what I'd be telling them. You have assurance it'll happen because I'm signing a contract saying when you do these things, it'll happen. But it doesn't make sense for it to happen until you do these things, because the only reason I'm going to give you the interest is that you're going to do the things. I'm not giving you the interest because you say you're going to do them. I'm giving you the interest because you are going to do them. When they're done, then you vest. Right. And that's very, very common way of doing that.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. That's all for now. Thanks, Roland.
Yeah, you're welcome, Chris.
Larnie, do you have a specific question? I know you said something about a deal, but do you have a specific question, Larnie? And go ahead and unmute yourself. Larnie?
Yes.
There
Can you hear me? Can you hear
Yes,
me?
we can.
Yeah, it's about the preschool. I'm still I'm wondering if you could help me with the things that should be done. Can I post some information?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if it will.
Okay.
You have
That's
it?
a lot of information, but let's see what we can do with it. Okay. So you've got $1.2 million in income in 2019 with a profit of 420. So you've got about, what is that, a 30%-ish, 35% margin. And in 2020, first quarter, so assuming all things, it looks like it's tracking just a little bit under, if we multiply that by 4 from last year, your first quarter profit though, is that a minus 19,552?
Yes, it's a negative.
Okay. Now, is there a time of year that's usually better for them?
2019.
Well, I mean, like seasonally, it's a preschool, right? So like, do they normally do better not in the summer months, but they do better in the winter, or is it pretty stable year round?
They gave me an annual income,
Okay.
so I
Now
don't know. It's
you
not
only have
given our
first quarter. You only have first quarter, which is interesting in 2020, because that would be, unless they're on a fiscal year that's different from the calendar year, that would be January, February, and March, basically mostly before anything from COVID hit. So they're losing money in 2020, really before this became, like, before the shutdown and everything. I'm very curious as to how they're doing now, and they should have second quarter numbers at this point since we're in Q3. Do they have those yet?
I have to ask them.
Okay, so I would want to see what those are, but definitely if you compare, and you might want to get a breakdown of 2019 by quarter, but I would want to compare how they were doing in 2020 Q1 versus 2019 Q1. My guess is they're down quite a bit. I would ask them why. I would then want to see how are they impacted in April, May, and June by all of the challenges that we've had with COVID. The $5 million purchase price makes very little sense to me. You're talking about a multiple of over 10 for that, right? So that seems super.
The multiple for childcare is 11.07.
11.07 times profit.
Yes, and it's around 4,652,000.
They're asking a 12.02 times multiple right now. I would look at, I don't know where you got the multiple, but I would definitely look at what are they selling for right now. But it just doesn't, I mean, it doesn't sound like a deal that would be the kind of deal that we're looking at here. So let's say, and this is good for everybody, right? Let's say that the multiple for your industry is 11. Do you want to buy an 11 deal? Because anybody can do that. That's not why you're here. You're here to find motivated sellers. A motivated seller is not asking an 11 if the industry is 11. The motivated seller is not selling, right? And so you also want to look, just when you get multiples like that, you want to be sure that your comps, your comparable companies that multiple is coming for are similar, because this is a company that, I mean, honestly, if they were doing $1.2 million in 2019, and it looks like maybe they're going to do $1.1 million, or, you know, let's give them credit. Let's say they're doing $1.2 million this year, but profits were 420,000 in 2019, and now they're negative 20 grand in the Q1. Plus, we haven't even seen what ought to be one of the worst ones that they've got, which is Q2. I'm for sure not basing my multiple off of 2019. At best, I'm going to look at 2019, 2018, 2017 and kind of average those together. But because we have this unusual circumstance that's going on right now, there's just no way that I'm going to be, I mean, on a loss of 20K in the first quarter, there's just no way I'm going to be thinking about paying them $5 million. And even if $5 million is a fair price right now, I would just argue that there's so many deals that are so much better than that, right? That if the industry multiple is what they're trying to sell it at, then I'm not super interested in that, because unless the terms are like amazing. If it's a fair deal and the terms are amazing, then maybe.
They said the property 5 years ago was appraised at 4.8.
The property. So this is including real estate. So let's see. My first offer, 4.4, 51% conventional, 49% seller, 4%. Seller's counter offer, 4,750 with $1 million or more down payment. No second position. Seller financing for 30 years at 4.5 for 2 years, then 565 to the loan balance drops below that. Multiple revenue, my offer 1.5, 1.8.
80% seller financing, around 80 or 78.
Well, it says here, so you had your first one was, and I'm just reading obviously as I'm seeing it, but you said the first one was 51% conventional, meaning you're going to go get a loan for that. And then 49% seller financing. And then did that change somewhere? Because seller counter offered at 4,750,000 with $1 million or more down payment. So they want it 20% down, which is no big deal. And then you say no second position. What does that mean to you?
They are not entertaining any second position. That means, because I was offering them 51% conventional and then 49% seller financing, but he said no second position.
Okay, just because second, you can't define it with what it is. So to help me understand what you mean by second position. So you're saying they'll do 4,750 with $1 million down payment, and then they're going to finance the balance?
No, they want 1 million cash.
Right. So they want $1 million cash, which means 3.75 still is going to be due. Where does that come from in their deal? I don't understand what they mean by no second position, because it could mean several things. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
They said the wife has cancer, so they want cash.
Yeah, but they say they want 4.75 million and they want you to pay $1 million down, right?
Yeah.
Now, then it says seller financing for 4.5% for 2 years, then 565 until the balance. So they're going to finance the remaining 3,750,000. Is that what's happening there in their counter?
No, that's for the seller financing.
Right. That's what I'm saying. They're going to carry for you the 3,750, right? So you give them $1 million and then they will finance the rest, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, great. So then, and that's got a formula. Great. Okay. And then childcare 11, education 1.49 times revenue times EBITDA. Okay, got it. Purchase price, your final offer, seller finance 3,650. Do you have the $1 million to come up with, or is that coming from someplace within the deal?
No, I'm hoping you can help me with whatever is possible to come up with the 1 million. Is it ABL or assumption?
So you'd have to look at does the business have, there's real estate that's included in the deal?
Yes.
Okay. So
that's the building. There's in the balance sheet down. Do you have the balance sheet?
No.
Oh, it was not included in the.
It just says balance sheet 331.20, but then there's nothing under it.
Oh, I see. Let me post this one.
Okay.
Hold on a minute. Sorry.
It's okay. So the thing that we'll be looking at when the balance sheet gets posted will be, could we sell the real estate and keep the business? Because if it's a preschool, or if it's I think you said it was a preschool, so then the business is generating decent money. So maybe we just take the real estate out of the equation and see if the business can still generate that and pay rent, then it might be a really great deal. And we just pay for the business by selling the real estate. Larnie, can you just tell me what is the value of the real estate, and are there any loans outstanding against it?
Oh my God, I had it ready, but now it's erased. Well,
Okay.
oh yeah.
Do you remember roughly? Because we can get the exact numbers later.
Yeah, what were you asking again? There
Do you,
were payables, mortgage payable of 2 million plus, and mortgage payable of there was a deferred interest of 169, and operating loan payable of 410, and there's a mortgage note payable of 1,951,000.
so they've got about 2.5 in debt, it sounds like, from those three numbers that's
Yeah.
on the property. And do you know what the real estate would sell for?
The building is 2.1,
Yep.
and the additions, the parking, and the others it totals into 2.7. And there's
2.7 total, 2.1 plus 600.
There's a total of 2.7 for the building,
Okay.
and then there's a furniture of 56,000, and
Okay.
there's a leasehold improvement of 86, and there's equipment of 74, and there's a vehicle of 44, and a total fixed asset is 2.983.
Yeah, so 2.7, it sounded like, in, as I recall, minus 2.5. So there's not a lot of equity. If you take out a commission for selling the real estate, then the real estate isn't really something that that makes sense to acquire. What is the gosh, I just, like, as far as coming out of pocket with nothing, I mean, you've got to come up with $1 million, but there's no place to get the $1 million, right? Except from the seller or some other place. So it's like, it seems like it's an okay deal, but it doesn't seem like it's a deal that fits our model. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So,
can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
Is there another business inside that occupies the building, or is the preschool the only business that leases real estate in the facility? Is the daycare the only tenant of the building? Do you know,
Larnie?
Yeah. Come again?
He's trying to figure out if there's is the only business that's located in this building the daycare center, or are there other businesses as well?
Oh, that's the only one they have. It's just the daycare.
Yeah. I mean, it just seems like it's so I guess it just depends on what you want, Larnie. To me, I want businesses that are selling for significantly lower than the multiples that, that, like, an 11 multiples just seems crazy to me. I'm never going to wait 11 years to get my money back. Right. So then
is at this time, that's COVID, is 11 even very good, or
no, I think they're crazy. And I think that, it looks like they're going from a profitable business to an unprofitable business. Like, if they went from $420,000 in profit in 2019, and they're losing money in the first quarter of 2020 before the really bad stuff hit. And, how long are we going to be in this? About a year. It just doesn't sound like a motivated seller to me, So, so I'm like, to manage your time in the best way possible when you're doing this stuff, you say no way, way more than you say yes, right? You go through deals really, really fast because most of them aren't great deals for you. And so the challenge here to me is that they're asking you to come up with $1 million, Now you can counter and play with it, but like and it's nice that they're willing to seller finance, but they're going to have to pay off. They can't really finance the debt on the, like there's no way that you would pay them $1 million down when they can't even pay off the mortgage for that. They can't deliver a debt-free business because they've got 2.5 million or 2.7, depending on, math, since we don't have the balance sheet. But it seems like there's no real equity that they've got in the property, and they're behind because there's deferred interest, I think you said, of 169,000. So they're behind on their interest payments. So it just doesn't pencil out. Like there's no assets for us to get money from. So then the money to buy the business would have to come from seller financing or some third party. It just doesn't seem like a great deal, It just doesn't seem like a good deal. But I'd love to get opinions from the other people that we have that are thinking, because there are other smart people here as well. And let's see what they say. But I mean, for me, I just don't like it. It's just not good enough.
What? Which one? Is it the
deal? The deal.
Profit margin?
It's just the whole thing. Basically, right now. So here's to me the things that I don't like. Right? I don't like the sellers. Doesn't seem terribly flexible. They want $1 million down on a business that lost $20,000 in the last quarter. You don't have the second quarter yet, so I'd want to look and see how they're doing now. But let's say that it's similar, then immediately the price is way, way, way too high. There's no way I'm going to pay an 11 multiple, even if that's market there, because there's no great terms that they're offering with $1 million down. So, so if I was trying to make it work, so I guess that's right off the bat, it just doesn't seem like they're really motivated. But if I wanted to spend time on it because I felt like it was a fantastic thing that I had to have, then I would say, here's my next step. I need for you to get me the second quarter numbers. And then I want to look at that and see. The problem that I have is that if I divide the 1,247,000 in sales, 1,247,562 in sales by 4, that means on average they're doing $311,800 a quarter back in 2019. The first quarter of this year is 271,754. So if I say 271 divided by 311, they're down 13% in sales year over year between Q1, if assuming the quarters are equal, between Q1 in 2019 and Q1 in 2020. Profits, however, are going from 420 down to 19. So we got 19 divided by 420. Profits are down, if you divide them out over the quarter, by about 95.5%. So that's horrible, right? So now let's say that things don't change for the year and they're negative for the year and they lose 19,500 times 4. Now they're basically $80,000 negative for the year, and I'm not going to pay anything for the business. It's like it's worth the value of the assets that are there, but the value of the assets that you gave me are, if I take the asset of the property and then I apply, say, a 5% real estate commission to sell it and then subtract the liabilities, there's zero equity there. And then I've got at cost, it sounds like maybe 150,000 of other assets. So it doesn't seem like there's a tremendous amount of things to finance from. So then it comes down to, okay, but I want the business. I'm still going to try to make it work. Then I've got to go to the numbers that we've got. And I don't know that I'm going to make an offer that comes anywhere close to what they want, but that doesn't usually scare me. So I'm going to say your offer of $5,050,000 makes absolutely no sense. And, I'm going to buy the business based on its profits, which are zero. Even if I give you an 11 on that, 11 times 0 is 0. So, I don't know why you want it, but let's say that you can turn it around somehow. It just seems like it's like 100% finance deal. but I don't even know what I would pay for it because it's losing money. Do you know what I mean? Do you understand
Yes.
why it's
Yes.
kind of a challenge?
Yes.
So you
Will
guys,
you?
you guys that are
Will,
listening, I want to get everybody involved here, and let me scroll down and see if anybody's saying anything. Let's see. We've got. Okay, we've got. Sean says pass before it's too late. Chris says I would pass. Wasim says offer 1.2 million, 100% financed without the real estate. The challenge, Wasim, to me with that though, is that I don't know how I'm going to pay that 1.2 million back. I mean, I need to know what the business is doing now. Let's say that it does, comes back and it always loses 20,000 in the first quarter and then makes 420,000 by the end of the year. Then, okay, then we've got something. So we need more information there. Chris, seller's asking too much. Mike says, assume the real estate debt and seller carryback. You'd want to get an idea from a real estate agent what that property would actually sell for. Because again, there's no equity in it. So I'm not sure why we want that unless there's something we can do with it. And Darrell's question about was there somebody else in there is a good question because maybe there's other cash flow, but there's not. So that doesn't make me excited. Marlon says negative profit. Chris, multiple too high. I would focus my effort on business with multiples between 2 and 3. I agree with him 100%. Sean says pass and run for the hills. Randy says terrible deal, asking price too high. I'm just giving you feedback from other people too, right?
yeah,
So that
yeah.
I don't want to be, I don't want to cloud it with my, with my
Thank
thoughts.
you.
Right. I just wanted to see if anybody had any ideas that might appeal to you. I'd be cautious with the real estate valuation. I agree on that 100%. It's an epic deal for the seller. I agree with that. Chris says, Larney, you've got some experience now with offers and counter offers. Good job in getting practice. Now that you have this practice, you can apply your learnings to a better deal. I agree as well. It's just, Joanne said, did you ask if the school was closed during COVID? Because that would have obviously caused them to make nothing. But keep in mind, Joanne, they did have 271,754 in revenue in Q1. So somehow they lost 20 grand with that, which I'd want to know why. I mean, that would be something, Larney, I would definitely ask is why did you lose $20,000 on 270,000 of revenue? Was there some extraordinary event that happened, right? That would be a good question. Okay. So I think that's it, Larney. I mean, I don't think it's a good deal, but definitely get a little bit more information and find out why did it lose 20K and what are the Q2 numbers? And then let's see if things look different. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you very much. So I can still ask the seller?
Of course. Yeah. Ask them. Say why, okay, I got your numbers. Thank you for sending them. I need to understand why things changed. I'd number one, I'd like a quarter by quarter breakdown on 2019. I'd like Q2 numbers on 2020, and I'd like Q1 and Q2. And then I'd like to know why was there such a difference? What happened that caused it to lose money, and how are things going right now? And what is your plan to turn it around? And I would probably also say let's use Chris Voss's never split the difference thing. How am I supposed to do this? That's his thing, right? How can I pay $5 million or 4.8 or whatever their counter was, 4,750? How can I pay that for a company that is losing money, right? It doesn't make any sense to me. So help me understand how I can do this. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much, Roland.
You're welcome.
Right.
Sorry I didn't have better stuff for you.
Thank you, everybody, for helping.
Thank you, Larney.
Yeah, thank you, everybody, for the feedback.
And then Manny, I think you had a question as well. Manny, you want to go ahead and unmute yourself?
Yeah. Hi, Roland. How are you doing today?
Good, Manny. How are you?
Thanks, Roland. In the middle of a deal, we are doing we just completed the financial due diligence and a couple of big things came up,
Okay. Is this the Amazon deal?
What is that?
Is this the Amazon deal? Weren't you working on something like that?
No, this is online business. Yeah, this is
Online business. Okay.
Yeah, this online business, very solid business. It's been there for 5 years. It's a $7 million business, and
I thought it was, weren't they selling supplements or something? I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
talking to you, but
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I thought they were selling on Amazon. But okay.
The thing is, there are two big things came up, which is a good negotiation point. The
Mhm.
first thing is they said, like, for the discussion purposes, $50,000. They said they used the 50,000 for taxes, but our fully accountable found out, they use it for ADP, for payroll. So that has to be reduced. And the second thing is the owners are very actively involved. They did not take any management fee. So we are suggesting some X amount of dollars for the management fee. So
Yep.
these two will bring the EBITDA down, and the sales price goes down and everything. So in this case, how do you negotiate this deal? We have a call with the seller today evening.
Okay. Well, so, I mean, I think you already said it. So that you would basically just you would take out the 50K that it sounded like they didn't pay in payroll. Is that what the deal is? Right?
No. They said they paid taxes, but
Uh-huh.
they paid for payroll.
Okay. All right. And so just so I understand that 50K, where did that come from?
No, the 50K they classified as paid for taxes. So that means it's after EBITDA. But they went
I get it. Okay.
they
Yeah.
went
So you would shift that from taxes
Yeah.
so that it would in fact reduce EBITDA by 50K.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Another
then
another 50K, they did not put any management fee for the owners.
yeah,
They are very
I'm
active.
on it.
Yeah, we are
So-
putting another 50K. So you should take another. This is just for the sake of discussion. You're
Yep.
saying 50K, but its actual numbers are a little different. But just for the sake of discussion, so another 50K. So basically, 100K goes down from EBITDA. That reduces everything. They change the whole equation to that's
Yeah.
a lot of money. So how
Yeah.
do you negotiate that in the with the seller, and it is your deal? How do you start the negotiation, and how you go about it?
Yeah. Did you determine the amount that it would cost? So you said the owners weren't taking anything to manage.
Yeah.
Okay. So determine an amount for a manager that should be in there that would be appropriate.
Yeah.
How much is that?
Say 50,000 for the sake of discussion.
Okay. Are there benefits and those sort of things in the company now?
No.
Like health insurance? Do employees get those kinds of things?
No, they don't get it. Yeah, it's a
Okay.
small business. They don't. Yeah.
So assuming that it would cost 50 grand to have a manager who was an employee of the company, we always multiply that by 1.2 because we figure there's a 20% load for payroll taxes and benefits and all that kind of stuff. So let's just call it 60 to make it easy. And then they add the 50. So that's going to lower it 110 on the EBITDA. And what was the EBITDA on the business?
We were paying 2.9.
You were paying 2.9, but the EBITDA was how much?
Actually, but I was 1 million. Million. Yeah, 1 million. Yeah.
EBITDA was 1 million. So that's going to go down by 110,000, right? So that's going to go down a fair amount,
Yeah.
11%. So the easy way to do it is, I would say, I mean, just as a rule of thumb, and how much were you going to pay for the business?
3 million. 3 million.
3 million?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got a few things that you could do. You could either say, so that was a 3X, right?
Yeah, 3X. Yeah, 2.9X. Yeah.
So you just basically say, okay, so really EBITDA is overstated by 50,000, and it's all for the amount that was applicable directly to payroll. And it was also overstated by 60,000 for a manager that doesn't exist that we need to have. So that's 110,000 total times the multiple that we have, which was 3. So that's 330,000 that should come off. So we're at 2,670. So that would be, I mean, like, that's kind of hard to argue. So I would just approach it that way. I'd say, okay, so, we had a chance to go through the financials and we found out a couple of things. One was there was 50,000 that should have been applied to payroll that was applied to that we thought was applied to taxes. So that's going to be an adjustment. And then we've also got, you guys haven't taken any thing out of the company. And obviously we have to have a manager. So we're going to need to restate the financials to impute a manager, which is going to be with payroll expenses and all that kind of stuff, about 60K. So if we add those two things up, that's going to decrease EBITDA by 110,000, which means that we multiply that by 3, and then we come up with 2,670,000. Does that make sense? That's exactly what I would say. By the way, you'll hear me ask you guys all the time, does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's a fantastic thing to say,
Yeah.
right? Because it's not like, you will take less by 330,000. It's like, it's not threatening. It's very friendly, but it also asks people to, it's taking their temperature on how they feel about it. And does that make sense? They can say, hell no, it doesn't make sense. We would never sell it for that. And you'll be like, but that's kind of like, that's the whole way that we calculated this. So help me understand if they say no. Help me understand why this doesn't make sense. Right?
We never. So, Roland, we never took any management expenses. We are there. We have very little expenses. Basically, business is all systemized. We don't involve that much, even though it looks like we are totally involved. We don't do that much work. Everybody
I'd
does
say fantastic. I'm going to go through then and poll the employees, and then would you guys be willing to stay on for the rest of your lives to do what you've been doing for free? Right? You can kind of it's really funny because you can have fun in these things too, because they'll be like, no, we're not going to stay on forever for free. Or they can get upset or whatever, but it doesn't, I think that if you have that conversation with them, it's like, well, the business, if the business truly runs itself, cool. Tell you what, let's take that 60,000 for the management fee times the 3, that's 180. And we'll put that in escrow. And if we don't need a manager after a year, then we'll release that to you.
That's a good.
How about that? Right?
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah. But I would talk to the other people that are in the company, because my experience is there is no company that runs itself, right? It needs someone even to say, hey, it looks like the company's running itself okay, right? You got to have a manager.
They told us, the one of the owners got into some chat for 30 minutes a week. That's all it is. 30 minutes a week.
Okay, great. Somebody's going to have to do that, right?
Thank you. Thanks, Roland. This helped.
You're welcome. Good luck, man. That's cool. I like that deal. That's fun. And you were talking to Brad about that too, I think, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Very good.
All right. I think we have Andy McBride. Andy, you had a question. You want to go ahead and ask that question? You can unmute. There you are. Hey, Andy.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Just hanging out here talking to a bunch of people.
Yeah, I think this one will be an easy one, hopefully. So I'm looking at this app company, and it's through a broker. I know that's, looked frowned upon, but they were asking 2.75 multiple.
We're going to put a little thing in where we can hit a button and it shocks the people on here. Okay, you're going through a broker.
Or something. He wanted 2.75 back in October. His SDE is down around 24% since then. And so in terms of given the realities of what's been happening, I'm trying to obviously work him down from where that is. What's a reasonable assumption in terms of that?
Well, when you say so what they want, did that have any base in reality? Did that seem fair to you, the 275?
I don't have the table in front of me, but in terms of what have you seen in the market when it comes to sort of a subscription-based app in the health space?
The ask is anywhere, right? 0.5 to 7, Right. I know that I know 3 seems to be depending on how much they're doing, seems to be in the range of reasonableness. I know we're working on a fairly large one right now that's a 1. So it just depends, right?
Right.
So so is it within the range of reasonableness? Sure. Right. Would you be happy with just saying SDE's down roughly 25%? So let's multiply your current SDE times 2.75. Is that a deal that you like?
Yeah. I think that would put it down to, to a multiple of 2. Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah. So, so you could, well, actually I don't think that was exactly what I was saying. So how much, what is the SDE?
It's around 26,000 a month.
26,000 a month. Okay. So if we say 26,000 a month means that it's doing 262, is that right? 26,000 times 12. Excuse me, 312. So it's doing 312. Is that right?
Yeah, 313. Yep.
Okay. And then, so we'll call it 313. And then they wanted, is that profit?
Yeah.
Okay. And so then
SDE. Yeah.
they wanted, right. So they wanted 2.75 times that. And that is what it was doing or what it's doing right now?
What it's doing right now.
Okay. So that would put it, if we multiplied that by 2.75 at 860 grand. Is it a deal for you at 860 grand?
I'm looking more towards about 815.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's like not much less at all.
Right.
So then it's just a question of you haggling back and forth. Have you done any of that yet?
We're in the midst of it right now. And
Okay.
of course, and the thing that pissed me off the most was because I've got a broker involved, and I'm going to use an SBA loan on this because it's using an SBA loan. He thinks I should overpay for it, and I should just give him what he's asking, which is
sure,
right. I mean, yeah, of course.
It's like it's not real money if you borrow it from the government, because the government will never come after you for it.
Right.
They're super nice there, you know. Yeah, that I agree with you. That doesn't make any sense. So I guess it's just a straight negotiation then. I mean, I think you just say, you know, it actually, you know, I've been doing some research and it looks like these things right now are selling for about 2, and this is what I'm willing to give. Or you could say, how are you paying for it right now? That 8, it was 867, I think. How would you pay for that? All SBA?
I'm putting 10. Yeah,
right?
I'm putting 10% down, and then the rest SBA.
Yeah. So 860. So you're going to be on the hook for the SBA loan, personal liability. So would he be willing to finance some of that?
He is. Yeah.
Okay. So would he finance all of it, so you don't have to have the SBA in at all?
No. He's looking for at least 50%.
Okay. So he's looking for 50%. So, and is that where the deal was before, or you were like, how did you approach the deal? I'm just trying to get a feel for where the seller's mindset was when you first came in.
Yeah, I mean, it's been on, like I said, they've been trying to sell it since, October timeframe, and the SD has continued to go down. So obviously the multiple stayed the same. So the price of it has also gone down from what his expectations were back in October. Yep. And so I think he's becoming more and more open to options in terms of the amount of seller financing. But then again, I've got the broker involved, probably whispering in his ear what he should and shouldn't do.
Is it trending down? I mean, is like, what's if you were looking at January,
it's holding steady now. It trended, obviously, I mean, Januaries are typically its biggest month, and it was down before COVID 20%. Mm-hmm. And through COVID, it obviously took a little hit, but it's been trending sort of stable, if not back up just a little bit since sort of April.
And you're able to pay the 10% down and do the SBA thing?
Very much so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd just give them kind of a cash offer, take it or leave it, with the with the SBA thing involved, and say and pay the price. But I mean, if it's declining in revenue, you've got to look and project forward and say, man, if this thing continues to decline like this, that is a reason that the multiple typically goes down. Correct. So you're not showing me a business that's growing, you're showing me a business that's going down. So I'm kind of buying a sinking ship here.
In October, when they made the multiple, it was growing at 10% year over year.
Yeah. Right? And so here's what sucks.
It's got 4 years of revenue behind it. So I can see what it's been doing.
Right. But not lately. Right. Mm-hmm. And that's what we look at.
Right.
Yeah. I'd probably go back. I'd probably go back at a 2 multiple and all, and 100% of his money through your down and the SBA, if you want to do it that way. Because if you're paying cash, you should get it way less, right?
Right. Correct.
If he's getting everything and he's out, he's got no risk, and you have 100% of the risk. So that would be the way I would do that. If it was, but that means you got to pay 86 grand, right? Which I wouldn't be super excited about. So the other thing that you might do is say, look, and since your ask is so low, I mean, since you're not being aggressive at all and saying, I want to pay $815, I think I would change that probably to 8. And I'd say, or I'll do 800K, and I will do, because your SBA loan is personally guaranteed, you could remove your personal liability. You could say, let me see what that would be. If it was 800K, then say, I'll come in with 80K and you finance 50% of it, which means 400K, you're going to finance over however you want it to be, 4 years, 5 years, something like that, at no interest. And then the difference of the 320,000 that's left, I'll get an SBA loan for.
Got it.
Right. Because then from a risk profile, your risk is decreased by the 400K that he's carrying. Right. And that gives you some flexibility. Also, and I think I mentioned this in the training, right? My experience is then if you were to go back, let's say he takes 400K.
And then offer him a little bit less and a cash up front when you get the SBA.
Yeah, you could say, because then you've got your deal. And so then you might go back and say, hey, man, the SBA approved me for the full amount. I can give you this much right now if you'd like it. Or you can wait, whatever you want. I don't care.
Right, and he'll take it like he said.
I'll give you 300 now instead of the 4. Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that helpful?
Super helpful. Yeah. Thanks, Roland.
You're welcome. Let me know how it goes.
I will.
Awesome.
All right. Tomas, I think Tomas Whiston, you had a question. Do you want to go ahead and ask your question, Tomas? Is he there? There you are, Tomas.
Hello.
Hey.
Yes. Hello.
Hey, Tomas. What's happening?
Hello. Good. Thank you.
Good.
So I was planning on buying address registry.
Okay.
With the companies, with the owners. No, actually, it's the CEO with a certain age span. So I was thinking maybe above 65 or above 70. So we have owners who might want to retire.
Okay.
So I was just thinking if this would be a good approach. I can make some selections regarding industry and turnover and profit and so on as well.
I like it. I'd probably go 55 though.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd go 55 and over. But yeah, I think that's great. I like it.
Okay. Just a quick question. Thank you.
Okay. You're very welcome.
Dimitri, I know you had a question. Did you want to go ahead and ask Roland? There you are, Dimitri.
Yeah, sure. Can you hold on one sec.
We can hear you.
Okay, great.
There you are.
Yeah, just a quick question. I've got a friend who has a landing page agency who wants to sell it now. He has another buyer that is interested. Is that something that then I want to really stay away from just because we don't want to start like a bidding war and it's not really...
I wouldn't start a bidding war, but it wouldn't scare me because everybody says they have a buyer. Like that's like, they say buyers are liars, but sellers are liars too. So he might or might not have one, and that person might or might not be serious. So it wouldn't scare me. I just wouldn't allow it to happen. I'd be like, hey, if your guy buys, cool, good for you. Here's my deal, right?
Yeah, okay. Gotcha. He definitely has a buyer because he told me before we even started the conversation that they're looking at selling.
Well, you have two options then. You could either say, tell you what, stay in touch. If that deal doesn't work out, then let's chat, in which case you're in a great position when he or she comes back to you. And if your second option would be to say, okay, well, so you have all the information. Here's kind of the way I was looking at doing this. I'm not going to get in a bidding war or anything. If this is something that makes sense, then I'm happy to do it. Or like I do this with, especially with real estate and cars, here's my offer. It expires at 5:00 tonight.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
I'll do that.
It's in writing. You can sign it and your deal is done, or you can let it go and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Cheers. Thanks, Roland.
Thanks.
Hey, and welcome to the Warren family, Dimitri. We're super excited to have you as well.
Yeah. Cheers. Me too.
Awesome.
I'm super excited to kick it off.
Awesome. Tobias,
You guys can all also use this stuff for everything in your life, by the way. I know one of my favorite ways to buy cars was to just send a cashier's check to the dealer. And so I'd find a car that I wanted, and then I'd FedEx them a cashier's check for the amount that I was willing to pay. And then they would always, of course, open it and always call me back and say, oh, I couldn't possibly sell it for this. And I say, no worries, just put it in the envelope and send it back to me. And I can tell you that I can only think of one time that they ever sent me the check back because they want to make the deal. So when you're making your offers, like when you do that and you say, here's my offer, it expires at 5 o'clock. I don't buy real estate except with offers that expire at 5 o'clock the same day. It's like, make a decision. So you can, it's really helpful in everything that you do to think about that. Now, some people aren't comfortable with that because they're like, oh, I feel like I'm a jerk doing that. But the truth is, it's like, hey, and for Dimitri, I'd tell him this too. I'd say, dude, I got lots of stuff I'm looking at. Yours looks right now. Yours looks like a cool one at this deal. I'm willing to do this right now. Here it is. You either want to sell it or you don't. Do you want to sell it? Are you a seller? I mean, that's a conversation. If you're comfortable with that approach, it can be very, very effective. Okay, go ahead, Dee.
Awesome. Tobias? You had a question. You were telling us your update on your deal. So did you want to go live or no?
And while we're waiting for Tobias, already I say a new project, roofing company, annual turnover 3 million, 20 employees, net profit after taxes 700K. Sounds like a cool business. 700K is the purchase price, so you're buying it for a 1X. I like that a lot. Second generation, no more descendants. Okay. Personal conversation on August 18th. You're a little nervous since your last deal failed on a third party. Never worked in construction companies before. What should I ask in the conversation? What is most important? The big thing there, Tobias, is going to be having somebody to run that. So you don't care about a confidentiality agreement, by the way. You ask about,
and he can't speak, Roland. So.
Okay. Yeah. You don't care about the the confidentiality agreement. That's usually the seller. So I wouldn't worry about that. He said, you already know one thing at the moment, the company can only accept 75% of the orders since there are no more employees. So this has been a problem for the company for a long time. Do you have an idea what solution I could offer to get more employees? Immediate profit increase of 25% would be possible. Yeah. So that sounds like a really cool deal. Tobias, the only thing that concerns me is you're going to need an operator. So if there is no one, you said there's no one to take over descendant wise. So is there anyone in the company already that's working that might be a good manager or that's running it right now? That would be thing number one. And if not, then maybe reach out in the Epic community and see, because I know we have some people who are buying construction companies and some people who are looking for construction companies, and see if maybe it's a deal to partner on, because you're paying a 1X on profits. So, I mean, it sounds like cool deal, and it's second generation, which would mean it's been around for at least 20, 30 years. Also love that. It's profitable. I mean, it sounds like a great deal. It sounds like they just don't know how to manage. So you just need someone who's capable of doing that. But I like that deal. It sounds like a great deal. Okay,
awesome. Dee. All right. And Suleiman, did you want to go ahead and unmute yourself? I see you down in the far corner. There you are, Suleiman.
Hey, Dee.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Good, thank you.
I'm fine too, Suleiman. I'm good too. Also, thank you for asking.
Hey, Roland, how are you?
Good.
Always great to be on these calls. Yeah, I just as I was listening to the conversation, this question came up about this whole owner carry. Let's say you do a deal and the owner carries 85% of the thing, and we are into the business for 1 year. After 1 year, he says, "I want the money back." Does that happen? If that happens, what do you do in that case? Or is there something you lock into the agreement that doesn't happen? Or
no. So what in your hypothetical, you said, let's say the owner agrees to carry 85% for a year, and then after the year they want the money. I would expect that they would want the money after a year. So what you would be looking to do is either can you retire the money during that time, or can you find somebody else or some other place to get that money or finance that within the time. So whatever the owner agrees to, like if you say it's a 1 year 85K carry, I would absolutely expect as the owner that at the end of that year, I'm going to get my 85K back.
No,
right?
maybe I think I didn't explain. Maybe let's say the deal was after 3 years. They would
Oh.
carry it for 3 years, but after 1 year, they say they want their money back. So it's not the original deal.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got your deal in writing, so they can't force you to give it back. So what that creates is a wonderful thing called a negotiating opportunity. So I would be thinking at that point about, okay, you want to get the money back. Let me see what I can do to make that happen. But I wouldn't be getting them the 85 because they want the money back, right? I would get a discount for that. They're like, you know, hey, I can't get you 85, but I can get you 50. Would you take 50? That's, you know, absolutely would do that. But the good news is that on that deal modified by the way you said, they can't force you to give it back. So if you don't have the money at that time or can't give it back, I'd say, man, I'd love to do it, but I can't get you that much. I could get you 50. Would you take 50? And that way you have it now instead of having to wait 2 more years to get it, right?
So which contract locks that thing in?
Promissory note.
Okay.
So in your purchase agreement, you would say, let's say that you bought the business for $850K and they carried back, well, wait a second, 85% of the business. Okay. Let's say that you bought the business for $100,000 and they're carrying back 85,000. So you put 15K down, they're carrying back 85K. Then that 85K that's owed is reflected in the purchase agreement. So in the purchase agreement, it would say, I'm going to buy your business for $100,000 or $1 million or whatever you want it to be. And it's to be payable as follows. And this is in the purchase agreement. Either the stock purchase agreement or the asset purchase agreement would have a purchase price and terms provision. And in that, it's going to say purchase price is X. In this case, let's say it's 100K, to be paid as follows. 15% at closing in cash or lawful money of the United States, depending on where you are. And the remaining 85,000 to be paid in a 3-year promissory note at 0% interest due 3 years from the date of closing or something like that. And then there might also be attached as an exhibit a promissory note that says that your SPV agrees to pay the seller 85K at the end of 3 years on thus and such a date at no interest or whatever the terms were. Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Yes. Yes. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
All right.
Said, buyers are liars, but sellers are worse.
And honestly, Roland, that's all of our questions right now.
All right, fantastic. Well, it's perfect timing. We're at the top of the hour. Thank you guys all for being here. I want to hear what's going on with your deals. So Suleiman and Christopher and who did we talk to? Larney and there was one more, right?
Manny.
And Manny. Yeah, you guys let me know what's going on with those deals. I want to hear, okay? So that's it for today. We'll see you guys a week from now.
Yeah. Bye guys. Have a good one.